One lion parts the tall grass like a blade through smoke, eyes locked, jaws tight, and every measured step tells the savannah that something ancient, organized, and terrifyingly calm is already in charge. The narrative then expands over the Masai Mara and Serengeti, featuring golden grasslands, spiky acacia trees, and concealed watering spots that appear stunning afar but intimately function as an active war zone forged by sweltering temperatures, starvation, and endless patience. Here, the year breathes in extremes, with roughly 19.69 to 59.06 inches of rain, deciding who goes strong, who goes desperate, and who gets caught standing still when the land switches from mercy to punishment. Navigating this intense environment is a massive, highly organized pride possessing such overwhelming self-assurance that rival hunters interpret their body language rather than provoking a fight. Although these sovereign animals still bear the heavy responsibility of protecting an ever-threatened authority. When migration swells, the plains turn electric, with nearly 1.5 million wildebeest and about 200,000 zebras pouring over the horizon like moving weather, giving the pride a hunting ground so rich it almost feels unfair. During favorable periods, experienced female lions operate as careful strategists rather than impulsive killers, perfectly reading breezes, darkness, and prey behavior until every successful attack solidifies their social ranking and reinforces their dominance. Then the dry spell hits, water shrinks, grass thins, cover disappears, and the same open country that once fed them now exposes every approach, forcing muscle and instinct to wrestle against distance, glare, and draining heat. At this point, rivals grow bolder, hyenas attack in large groups with sheer audacity, while cheetahs sprint across the plains reaching up to 70 miles per hour, proving with each pursuit that this landscape is filled with highly skilled predators. A few failed hunts change the mood completely, because missed timing means wasted strength, hungry cubs, and quiet doubt spreading through the pride as the land proves that even apex predators can look fragile when resources collapse. Unsuccessful hunts destroy any illusion of dominance, entirely transforming the grasslands from a majestic royal palace into an incredibly unforgiving transaction, where starving bellies highlight each individual error and vocalizing suddenly consumes increasingly precious physical energy. So the lions turn colder and smarter, leaning on patience, ambush geometry, and their deep memory of paths, cover, and prey behavior, because in hard country, the winning weapon is often judgment, not force. Balance eventually returns, completely devoid of sentiment. Once rain falls, vegetation recovers, and herbivores come back, prompting nature's entire food web, from grazers to scavengers, to restart the cycle. With food within reach again, the pride reconnects as a unit, executes cleaner hunts, feeds the cubs, steadies the social order, and earns a victory that feels real precisely because it came through adaptation instead of raw domination. This truth extends beyond lions, as ecological diversity across roughly 2 million square miles of African savanna serves a deeply practical purpose rather than mere aesthetics, establishing an interconnected web where stability guards dominance just as dominance ensures lasting survival. Even as the pride stands strong again, the ending refuses comfort, because another drought, a shifted migration, or a new rival can arrive without warning, proving that in the African savanna, every triumph is only the first breath before the next test. Within these big cat groups, observers are immediately surprised to discover absolute organization instead of disorder, as all eye contact, bodily movements, and tail twitches reflect unspoken rules, proving that seemingly random gatherings are actually highly coordinated relatives functioning in complete unison. Across the open savanna, where drought, heat, and rival predators punish hesitation, that family system becomes the difference between holding ground and losing everything, because each decision, from guarding cubs to starting a hunt, rests on daily cooperation refined across generations. Consequently, the group appears remarkably streamlined before ever seeming brutal, since each animal handles a specific job that minimizes misunderstandings, conserves physical stamina, and increases overall success rates, ultimately transforming a mere pack of hunters into an organic apparatus built for staying alive. At the center stands the dominant male, a walking emblem of authority whose mane can weigh up to 11 pounds, cushioning his neck in battle while signaling age and fitness, with a darker mane often indicating the health and breeding quality other lions instantly recognize. The male's authority permeates the physical landscape, ranging from 20 to almost 400 square miles, since shifting hydration, food sources, and enemy threats frequently alter boundaries, rendering the terrain far more than mere habitat by serving as their history, food storage, perimeter, and destiny. To hold that ground, he patrols, sprays scent, marks trees, and unleashes warning roars that can carry close to 5 miles, a message that says, "Trouble is already expensive," proving that lion leadership often depends on intimidation before blood is spilled. However, the true foundation remains the network of adult females weighing between 260 and 400 pounds, whose consistent mixture of power, quickness, endurance, and organization ensures the group stays alive through their continuous everyday skills rather than merely relying upon the resident male's imposing reputation. That truth shows hardest during the hunt, where titles mean nothing because a lioness may burst to 50 miles per hour for a few seconds, yet speed fails in open grass unless the group uses darkness, angles, and coordinated timing against zebra or wildebeest weighing 400 to 600 pounds. A harsh reality exists within the disparity between attempting and succeeding, given that failed attacks waste completely irreplaceable physical energy, forcing even elite predators to meticulously analyze breezes, lunar illumination, range, hiding spots, and prey anxiety prior to initiating any strike. Failure cuts deepest around the cubs because each newborn arrives at about 3 pounds and spends the first 6 weeks utterly dependent on milk and concealment, so one mistake in hiding in the grass or one wandering scent trail can erase the pride's future before it has teeth. The answer, therefore, relies upon the females once more, functioning not merely as providers, but as protective mothers who groom babies to eliminate odors, keep young offspring completely hidden and silent, relocate them amidst shifting perils, and spot danger well before juveniles ever comprehend fear. Support arrives through teaching hidden inside play as cubs stalk, pounce, hide, and wrestle in tiny drills that look harmless, while adult lions model boundaries, timing, and group behavior so often that the lessons sink in before the cubs are old enough to name them. Temporarily, potential disasters are averted once everyone executes their specific duties. Patriarchs guard the area, females provide meat and safety, and babies mature within this organized defense, definitively demonstrating that lasting balance requires consistent, organized teamwork during immensely stressful situations. That success reveals the real machinery of lion dominance, because power is spread across leadership, labor, memory, and trust, rather than trapped inside one dramatic figure. And what outsiders call raw strength is usually a system of shared responsibility and memory. Nevertheless, a true conclusion remains eternally elusive, since barely 50% of babies survive their initial 12 months, while an incoming alpha, persistent enemies, or severe weather could shatter their society instantly, forcing the family to continually recreate their domain via devotion, strict organization, and constant peril. At the pride's border, the grass lies still, then two strange males step into view and turn open country into a hard line, because what looked like empty ground was really the wall between safety and ruin for every lion behind it. The narrative originates right here, since a lion's domain extends far beyond mere dirt to become an active stronghold containing hydration, game paths, canopy cover, and vital nursery areas, guaranteeing that true Savannah authority falls to whichever lineage successfully dominates these absolute necessities. For now, this pride still carries the advantage of order, with the alpha serving as the visible shield, the lionesses supplying discipline, speed, and shared instinct, and even the cubs adding silent pressure, because their future is what this ground is meant to protect. Stepping out first, the patriarch resembles a king surveying a realm long governed by his distinct odor, vocalizations, and presence. Sporting a thick collar of hair that signifies adult peril, protects his throat during combat, and signals competitors that his territorial dominance involves zero dissection. Around him, the savannah stretches unforgiving, where every waterhole, trail, and patch of shade can mean the difference between rest and hunger. So stable territory becomes priceless, the piece of country where a pride can hunt, recover, and raise young without doubt. Eventually, defensive lines crumble through an ancient pattern. Nomadic competitors advance steadily rather than sprinting, rendering them utterly terrifying, since this deliberate pace proves they evaluated the risks, embraced the threat, and concluded that vocal warnings and territorial boundaries are completely meaningless now. Now, the enemies are fully real, not random drifters, but ambitious challengers reading the afternoon like a test, asking whether the current rulers are still strong enough to back their reputation, and before the first blow lands, the air already feels like judgment. All individuals within the group fully comprehend the massive stakes, since defeat wouldn't simply involve forfeiting a grassy area, but rather forfeiting protection, sanctuary, and authority regarding their offspring, an absolute catastrophe devastating enough to entirely dismantle the vital social framework required for their continued existence. The worst part arrives in the silence before combat, when birds seem away, wind feels thin, and light looks watchful, as if the savannah itself has paused to see who belongs, forcing the pride to face the fact that history and love may still not be enough. Therefore, their countermeasure starts acoustically prior to physical contact, with the patriarch unleashing a massive bellow echoing over the landscape as an ultimate declaration, designed to shatter rival morale before actual combat, since such warfare utilizes psychological terror as a literal weapon rather than mere dramatics. He is not alone for long, because the lionesses step up with the focus of veterans, one female locking onto the invader's feet and shoulders to read intent, while the others angle into place so defense becomes a coordinated wall instead of panic. Once violence erupts, the family battles systematically rather than frantically, with the patriarch taking direct frontline hits using sheer bulk, claws and jaw strength, while lionesses strike from the sides, splitting the invaders' focus, disrupting their coordination and blocking any forward advance. Little by little, success starts to show, not through one miraculous strike, but through repeated, punishing unity as each defender presses with the certainty of lions protecting water, shelter, hunting rights, and cubs until the invaders begin to give ground under resistance they cannot break. Such triumph reveals the profound truth behind feline authority, since what appears from afar as mere brute force represents a kinship network enduring immense pressure, establishing an environment where land dictates existence and enduring necessitates divided efforts, mutual dangers, and unified courage powerful enough to overcome terror. And the ending refuses comfort, because a saved border is never permanent in the African savannah, and somewhere beyond the grass, another coalition may already be tracking the same water, prey, and opportunity, which means this pride is triumphant tonight, but will defend its kingdom again. Near the water's edge, soft dawn light casts a metallic shimmer across the calm stream, while roughly 20 wildebeest wait, partially submerged, twitching their ears at minor disturbances, leaving the stunning scene just one panicked heartbeat away from chaos. A few hundred feet away, buried in tall grass so completely they seem grown from the earth itself, a pride of lionesses watches in absolute silence, wasting nothing in breath, posture, or patience. Prior to any actual pursuit, the predators already possess the upper hand, since the primary female directs her squad, utilizing subtle gestures rather than noise, while overly comfortable targets typically recognize their fatal predicament roughly a moment too late. She is the mind at the center of the operation, a seasoned hunter reading distance, cover, and the spacing of the herd with the cold discipline of an animal that knows patience is often deadlier than speed. This shoreline provides the precise terrain these big cats actively desire, offering extensive vegetation for hiding, wading depths to impede the grazing animals, and constricted exit routes where a single moment of absolute chaos could dictate the entire morning's outcome. But the margin is brutally thin, because a wildebeest weighing roughly 500 to 600 pounds can explode toward 50 miles per hour, and one snapped stem or betrayed shift of wind could collapse the entire setup. Raising the stakes further, 10-month-old cubs accompany the adult hunters on their first real outing, trying to match the group's deliberate pace despite a clumsiness that broadcasts their presence as clearly as any sound. Now, the hunt becomes two stories at once: survival for the adults and education for the future, because every careful step teaches the cubs that power in the savannah begins with control long before claws ever touch flesh. Their perimeter shrinks virtually undetected, while a pair of mature females shift laterally to block exit routes at merely 2 feet per second, demonstrating once more how teamwork outweighs quickness whenever absolute camouflage remains the sole factor maintaining the ambush. Then failure breathes across the waterline as the wildebeest begin to tense, bunching shoulder to shoulder and lifting their heads in that terrifying pre-stampede moment when one shared alarm can erase minutes of perfect stalking. Should the grazing targets flee uniformly, the opportunity vanishes, calories are completely wasted, and the juveniles absorb a brutal predatory reality. Even perfectly orchestrated schemes remain entirely vulnerable to a single fraction of a second of unfortunate timing. The answer comes from the lead lioness in the smallest signal imaginable, a faint sound and a shift in posture that releases the pride from stillness and turns all that buried strategy into sudden, explosive motion. Immediately, the flanking females show their roles. One hunter cuts hard sideways while a partner drives toward the herd's outer edge, turning chaos into precision as they work to isolate a lone target from the wider group. One lioness surges near 40 miles per hour and locks onto a younger wildebeest drifting offline, and in that split second the cubs witness the real law of the hunt. That position creates the kill before force finishes it. The lesson this shoreline provides extends far beyond a single pursuit, since female supremacy relies heavily upon accuracy, teamwork, and patience. As the prey keeps fleeing and juveniles observe, the ultimate result hinges entirely on these upcoming seconds. The antelope stumbles hard, one leg folding under a clean strike, and the whole hunt turns from chase to possession. Dust and debris erupt around the target as the lead female drives the attack home, ending the struggle before chaos can steal her advantage. In the African savannah, that speed is not cruelty for its own sake, but the brutal math of survival. The actual narrative subsequently starts, since successfully killing targets represents merely half the overall struggle for massive felines inhabiting in entirely exposed environments. Warm blood on the grass is like a flare in the dusk, announcing success to anything hungry enough to come running. Newly slaughtered meat swiftly attracts carrion eaters, competitors, and blatant robbers within moments, occasionally before the exhausted family even catches a complete breath. At first, the lionesses do everything right, flowing into position around the carcass with the practiced calm of veterans. One feline monitors the backside while another guards the front, making the freshly caught meal briefly appear genuinely safe. At the center stands the lead lioness, chest heaving, jaws stained dark, but her eyes stay fixed beyond the fallen antelope. She now operates as far more than merely the successful, deadly attacker. Now she becomes the guardian, reading danger before the shape of it fully forms in the grass. Surrounding her, twilight descends upon the landscape in stunning yet deceptive illumination, tinting the flatlands golden while highlighting every single physical motion. The low sun paints the scene like a victory, but the openness of the land gives that victory away from miles off. Absolutely nothing remains concealed here indefinitely, not newly slaughtered meat, completely fatigued felines, nor sudden, unexpected, advantageous chances. The first warning comes as a distant howl, thin at first, then sharper, and every adult lion reacts instantly. They fully comprehend this noise indicates their fresh meal was discovered, meaning their peaceful dining widow is rapidly evaporating. The hunt drained muscle, lungs, and nerves, but now fatigue collides with something even harder, the need to defend. 8 spotted hyenas emerge from the tall grass, each weighing roughly 140 pounds, advancing with menacing swagger and unmistakably hostile intentions. they do not arrive like elegant predators. They move like street fighters, noisy, coordinated, and relentless, armed with jaws capable of generating roughly 1,100 pounds per square inch of bite force. That bite gives them the nerve to test lions at close range, especially when numbers are on their side. Instantly outnumbered beside the meat, the group's focus shifts from securing dinner into actively defending their social standing. If the hyenas steal this kill, the lions lose food, energy, and status in one humiliating collapse. Stress intensifies significantly since starving, observant juveniles wait safely afar, completely relying upon this singular meat source for their very survival. The hyenas spread wider, circling for a weak side, gambling that one gap will break the whole defense open. During several fleeting moments, absolute defeat appears incredibly imminent and deeply palpable. Then the lead lioness explodes forward, charging the nearest hyena so violently that the pack loses its rhythm. Rather than surrendering space, she completely reverses the hostile encounter, forcing the aggressive scavengers to defensively respond to her sudden, violent movements. Another lion joins with a deep roar that rolls across the grass like a warning backed by blood. Thereafter, the family adopts strict formation, with one adult defending the middle, another protecting the side, and both anticipating the subsequent charge. For nearly 10 minutes, every hyena advance is met with sharp timing, snapping force, and absolute refusal to retreat. Slowly, the hostile scavengers evaluate their perilous situation, realizing the physical consequences of stealing far surpass the potential nutritional benefits. At last, the hyenas break off and fade back into the grass, leaving the carcass where it fell. The felines keep their meal by guarding it as violently as they caught it, crediting this triumphant outcome entirely to cohesive teamwork. Only then do the cubs come forward, feeding while they learn the deeper lore of the savannah, that winning prey means nothing if you cannot protect it. As daylight fades, the primary female continuously monitors the distant skyline, radiating warmly beneath the fading rays, completely prepared for whatever obstacle inevitably arrives. The savannah now looks emptied out, burnt grass, bare acacias, and waterholes shrinking to nothing. Arid seasons offer zero relaxation, functioning instead as a punishing examination where prey vanishes and the landscape becomes totally unpredictable. Experience is their only cushion, teaching them to save strength, trust old paths, and move without wetted effort. The females take charge, analyzing footprints, dirt, and breezes to uncover meat, hydration, or any minor indication of relief. Home still surrounds them, but territory that once sustained life can no longer feed every mouth. Therefore, they venture outside recognizable territory, where lengthy journeys become hostile and vulnerable. Juveniles transform movement into immense danger. Heat near 100 degrees bears down, and shrinking water pulls desperate predators onto the same routes. Traversing parched soil drains crucial stamina. They cannot guarantee replenishing, subsequently rendering the mature felines noticeably sluggish and exhausted. Failure hangs close, because one missed chance at water or prey can make cub weakness deadly. The group responds strategically, traveling during twilight, sleeping beneath protective canopies, and actively ambushing desperate herbivores near unavoidable intersections. During the march, shared roles matter, with leaders choosing direction while stronger adults guard cubs and pace. Such strictness cannot eliminate devastating arid conditions, yet it successfully prevents absolute terror while translating overwhelming despair directly into continued existence. Success arrives small here, maybe a hidden pool or one clean kill that buys another day. The takeaway is perfectly obvious. Whenever the environment stops providing assistance, lasting endurance favors felines who adjust via strict organization. And as they cross the brown horizon, the season stays unfinished, with thinner prey and sharper danger ahead. After days of failed hunts, starvation sharpens the tension when the lions find buffalo clustered near a drying waterhole, a sight that signals both extreme danger and desperate hope. These are 1,500-pound animals, and near scarce water, they stand fast because retreat can be deadlier than the fight. Calves protected at the center reveal both the herd's vulnerability and its iron discipline, prompting the lead females to read the gaps, horn angles, and the herd's first responses. Open mud, low dust, and little cover turn the water's edge into a raw stage where thirst sharpens every move. The herd tightens into a living barricade as led bulls step forward, displaying horns spanning nearly 40 inches and a courage fueled by sheer numbers. The lionesses test the edges and try to split the ring, but the buffalo tighten instead of breaking. Next, a male charges at roughly 35 miles an hour, almost trampling an evading female and completely destroying the hunting group's forward drive. The answer is teamwork. Feints from multiple sides, circling pressure, one lion distracting while another watches for a late opening. Zero opportunities arise, so the predators resolve this dilemma by retreating before extreme starvation transforms into a physically devastating error. The lesson is savage because power alone cannot beat prey that fights as one body, and even a later riverbank wildebeest kill can draw hyenas and crocodiles until success disappears. Consequently, the family departs empty-handed, wary and starving, fully understanding that across these plains, failed opportunities and hijacked meals merely represent the identical survival battle resuming come nightfall. When the savannah goes quiet, it is not peace arriving, but a predator without claws, one that erases land beneath lion paws. The perspective expands now, as these felines aren't merely battling arid weather, competitors and targets, but rather human encroachment, advancing more rapidly. The warning looks ordinary at first, farms, crops and settlements replacing wild corridors while cover, shade and movement routes disappear piece by piece. The feline family remains central, although vocalizations, territorial odors, and defensive walks prove totally useless against artificial barriers, roaring machinery, and bulldozed landscapes. It remembers a map where open grasslands, prey trails, and water linked life together, making movement, hunting, and survival feel possible. Today, their territory splinters into isolated fragments, and each division renders stalking harder, traveling more dangerous, and clashes increasingly intense for hunters and targets alike. The threats are cumulative and relentless. Habitat loss, climate pressure, roads, livestock encroachment, and expanding settlements pressing in year after year. Next, the absolute severity registers, since rising temperatures, shrinking territories, and human activity combine until the entire environmental network begins suffering massive strain simultaneously. The nightmare is not one dead lion, but a future where the night falls silent and Savannah survives only as memory. Therefore, any fix requires absolute honesty. Saving these predators proves unachievable without simultaneously preserving their environment, food sources, roaming corridors, and overall ecological stability. The answer lies with people who act, conservationists, local communities, and viewers whose awareness becomes real protection when it turns into commitment. This objective transcends simple sentimentality, since protecting these plains requires maintaining millions of intertwined existences within an active network of vegetation, hydration, traveling, and natural drives. Success, then, is shared responsibility, where protecting lions also protects drama, ecological order, and memory that make this landscape worth saving. This remains the core takeaway. It never merely involved one family surviving adversity, but rather natural majesty and ecological harmony enduring because someone actively defends them. And as long as even one roar still rolls across the grass after dark, the future is not finished, and neither is our responsibility.